sooner, and we have a lot of other issues a lot earlier in life than we were ever supposed to. Okay? So we want to make sure we're looking at all of those things. Proteins, specifically proteins, are for building and repair of your cells. So a great protein is peanut butter, nuts and seeds. Great proteins, obviously your meats, your free-range organic chicken, turkey, fish, your bison, free-range beef. All of those things are great options for proteins. Your fats are the other group, and they're critical, again, because we talked about that you can't burn fat if you don't have good fats. But there's always a category, and one of the nutrition sheets that I use the most breaks it down for you. So here's a column of good fats, good proteins, good carbs, and here's the ones that are not so good that you want to eliminate. And it's a very easy way to cross-reference what you're eating now versus what you need to be eating in the future, or what you want to replace certain things with. Okay? So if you want those types of sheets, I'll have them for you, and I can provide them for you. I separate them out by oxidation rate right now because that's the easiest way to customize a nutrition program for someone once I know what their oxidation rate is. Okay? And we'll talk about that in a little bit here in a couple slides. The best fats that you can have and consume, obviously, are fish if it's wild caught. I highly recommend and strongly recommend you stay away from farm-raised fish. They do not feed the fish what they should be eating. They don't keep them in their normal habitat. Therefore, the omega-3s that they should be producing from that fish or that meat, it's not there. Same thing with cows. If you're going to feed cows grains instead of grass, it's going to change the molecular structure of the milk. There's no question about it. So if they're not getting their normal diet, yes?
How do you feel about like fish oil, or the, if we're not getting?
To incorporate fish oils in your diet, I think it's huge. It's one of the main things that I recommend children be on, adults be on, because you know you're not going to get enough fish in your diet, more than likely, because it's very difficult to buy and very expensive to buy wild-caught fish and have that 3 times a week.
Right.
A lot of people don't even like fish. So, or fish things. And it's not, I mean, I'm not a fan of the bottom feeders, so I eat very little shrimp in my diet, even though I love it. Very little lobster, clams, scallops, that kind of thing, mussels. I don't eat much of that anymore just because there's so much toxic residue that can settle in those fish now. They're not as healthy as they used to be, so they're not as good of a source. So I do recommend that people definitely look at what would be the best fish oil for them. So avocados is another great fat. How many like avocados? Next week, I think Kelsey is going to bring a treat for you people. She is going to make an incredible chocolate pudding that's actually good for you. Wow. And it's made with, I'm not going to tell you. I was blown away when I tasted that on Friday. She brought in a sample for us, and she brought in bananas. Oh my! I'm like, you have got to get in that. Thank you for that recipe. It spread through the office like crazy, and Dr. Craig was the only one that didn't get to try it, and he was very upset about that. So that's going to go up on the website with a lot of the other recipes that we are building, by the way. So we will have the Vallejo website. It's a great resource here in the very near future for you to get recipes, ideas on meal planning. Much better a resource for you than it is right now. Okay. Extra virgin olive oil. Yeah, Barb.
Can I ask you about flax? I read
Sure.
somewhere that in order for flax seeds to work, you need to grind them up. Is that true?
It's the best way to take them in, to grind them. The recipe for the organic power bars that I use, I often do suggest that people grind them if they're really struggling with digestion. If people really are not struggling with digestion, it's also okay to do them in the seed form, because our teeth are designed to break those things down just like anything else in the sesame seed. But you might find that some of them find their way out in the same form they came in, and that's a typical thing if your body's still trying to heal in a digestive way that you may have been struggling with in the past. So it does have to do with enzymes, but it is good to grind them initially until your body gets used to consuming them.
Then there's dark ones and there's golden ones. What are the best ones to get?
I typically do the light golden ones. I don't know what the difference is between the omega-6s and 9s and 3s, the two colors. I think it's just how they're, the soil they're grown in that causes the different colors, or how they're, how they're harvested. So I don't know that much about the difference in the two, but find out what.
I just read something about that, and they said there's no difference in nutritional value between the dark and the light.
Very good. So it has to do something with the process of how they're grown, more likely.
And
Yeah, Barb.
pecans, Christine, are not on that little list there for nuts. Are pecans not good for you?
I think they are, just in
Okay.
moderation.
Okay.
All nuts have a great amount of fat. Some have higher amounts of fats than others. Macadamia nuts are real high in fat. Pecans have a little bit more in them. But that doesn't mean you can't consume them. I think they're a great source of protein. It's just if you're trying to watch how much fat you're eating, good fats, and you want to balance it, you don't want to eat a whole handful of pecans and not have it combined with other nuts or something else with it. Okay. Good question though. Coconut oil, that's one of my favorites. If you're not using coconut oil to cook with, that is the number one thing you need to change immediately, in my opinion. It makes everything taste better, and you know that is something that does not oxidize, it does not change. So there's no breakdown of the molecules of coconut oil. But there is, in olive oil past a certain heat, and there is in vegetable oils, canola oils. Nothing is as safe as coconut oil or macadamia nut oil. And they're incredibly high in saturated fat. And everybody might be going, whoa, wait a minute, but that's a very good thing. Yeah.
Do you just substitute the coconut oil, or like you only would have to use olive oil?
Correct. And I actually use more just because I love to. I mean, I love the taste of my food. When I put fresh herbs, fresh garlic, and I marinate meat or chicken or whatever I'm doing, vegetables, if I do a stir fry, I will use sometimes 3 to 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. And of course it comes in a solid form unless it's summertime. You can just pour it in. Because it melts at 76 degrees. So if you put it in your hand, it would melt immediately. So you can have it in liquid or solid form.
So is it like Crisco? It looks like Crisco?
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
So you throw in a couple of tablespoons of that and let it melt in your pan?
Sometimes I'll combine it with organic butter. That's a great combination. And I'll marinate my fresh raw garlic, organic garlic. I'll put onions in there. I usually cook with garlic and onions in everything I make, just because it flavors everything. And then I'll cut up fresh oregano, fresh basil, fresh rosemary, any of the fresh herbs, and I will do that marinade with them at a low heat. And then I'll put in whatever else I'm making, whether it be chicken or vegetables or whatever it is I'm doing. I cook everything in it, meat, everything.
Do you use a special pan? Like a
I
cast
use
iron?
stainless steel.
Okay, I didn't know if you were doing a stir fry kind of pan. Or...
No, I use stainless steel for everything. I finally was able to switch everything over to that so I could get the aluminum out of my my household. Yeah. Do you want to take that question? No, I don't. Yep, I just leave it, especially in the salad form. It's never changed. It doesn't go rancid. It's just the uniqueness of coconut oil, and it's just a wonderful thing. I even put it on my son's toast to help him get a good combination of good fats. He thinks the peanut butter tastes better. Just first I put the coconut oil on instead of butter, and then I put the peanut butter on. That's a great way to get good fats into your kids and hide it so they don't know you're doing it. Did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, why did it recently just get such a bad press when it was in